guys, the truth about Batman Booga. Down by Out of the Storm. This is a really good video. So if you didn't know everything about Batman Booga, we're about to know everything right here, right now, baby. Let's get it.
This is Higgs, one of Fortnite's best players with over $200,000 in earnings, and he's come closer to anyone to dethroning Peterbot, finishing second in the most recent FNCS. But he wouldn't always be this good, so to find out how he became the best, we need to go all the way back to the start of his mysterious story. Ben Higgs Anderson, aka Batman Booga, was born on February 23rd of 2007, and if you've been watching competitive Fortnite over the past year, chances are you've heard of his name. Yet throughout his career, he's mostly been overlooked by bigger names and personalities, at least until today's video. In order to understand how Higgs became one of the best, we need to go back to the start of his career. Higgs' first official Fortnite event was the Trio's One Day Cup on February 19th of 2019. Flash forward 3 months later, he would get his first ever earnings during week 6 of the World Cup qualifiers, making $100 on May 26th of 2019.
I think he was on console at that time.
If we take a look at Higgs' birthday, which was in February of 2007, that means that February of 2021 would be the first time Higgs would be eligible to compete in official Fortnite events. So at just 12 years old, Higgs would make his first official earnings. But let's just keep this low key and nobody tell Epic Games that. I don't want to get Higgs banned. Anyways, he would continue to play tournament after tournament. However, it would take him over a year to earn his next set of money from Fortnite, where he earned $800 in the Frosty Frenzy event on December 12th and 13th of 2020. After continuing to play throughout 2020, Higgs would finally have his first breakthrough during Chapter 2.
So Frosty is invalid too?
Qualify for his first ever Grand Finals of FNCS. So on May 29th and 30th of 2021, Higgs would load up into the Grand Finals. But unfortunately, he finished 25th out of 33 teams. Although this wasn't the result Higgs had hoped for, he was only getting started. Luckily for Higgs, he would have the perfect opportunity to do so in the upcoming solo FNCS All-Star Showdown, which was announced on March 19th of 2021. It was set to be a major tournament featuring the best solo players from each region. The players mainly consisted of champions and some of the biggest names in Fortnite history.
He was on West,
However, there was also an open qualifier that offered a few limited spots that were up for grabs. Higgs earned his spot by finishing 3rd in the semifinals. On June 26th of 2021, Higgs competed in the finals and achieved his biggest accomplishment to date, placing 7th and taking home $11,000. What made this even more impressive was that he had been competing on a dodgy gaming laptop the entire time. So with these earnings, he finally invested into a top-of-the-line gaming PC. Despite this breakthrough, it would take over 5 months before Higgs secured another major placement. On October 31st, 2021, during the Chapter 2 Season 8 FNCS, Higgs and his trio placed 4th on NA West, his biggest achievement by far. And in that moment, as he finished 4th and collected the $7,000, he thought to himself, maybe Fortnite competitive can truly be a career. However, in the following major tournament, the FNCS Grand Royale, Higgs and his trio finished in a disappointing 27th place out of 33 teams. Although this wasn't the result he had hoped for, he knew that the only option was to keep pushing.
He was pretty prime during this time too.
He continued to play throughout 2022, placing 11th during the Chapter 3 Season 1 Grand Finals with his duo Wheels. Then Higgs would also play during the Chapter 3 Season 2 FNCS, where him and his duo Wheels would place in the following season, Chapter 3 Season 3.
This is when we were popping off.
A new partner, Caleb, and the duo even pushed further, finishing 9th overall. After a consistent 2022 season, Higgs knew he had to lock in for the 2023 season and prove to everyone that he was a force to be reckoned with. This upcoming year would have a little bit different FNCS format. Players had 4 opportunities to qualify for the Global Championship, which would take place at the end of the year. Major 1, Major 2, Major 3, and finally the Last Chance Major. The top teams from each major would get a chance to play in this massive LAN event, and that was Higgs' goal. So Higgs and his duo Caleb went into the first major of the season hoping to come out on top. They had done pretty good in the FNCS qualifiers.
Wait, when does Rapid come into play here?
Not necessarily front runners, but possibly top 10 players going into the Grand Finals. But when it comes to game day, anything can happen. They placed 5th overall in Major 1 of 2023. This was an amazing placement, however, this wasn't enough to qualify for the Global Championship on NA West. But it was right at this time Epic Games was about to do something that would cause a major roadblock in Higgs' Higgs' plan of becoming a full-time Fortnite pro. See, Higgs lived in Washington State, with the servers being in California. However, on March 10th,
Washington State top left.
Epic Games would announce they were combining the NA West and NA East servers into one central server.
Yep.
And while this might not seem like a drastic change to a casual player, this was a massive change for pro players. You see, like I previously said, the servers were in California for West and Virginia for East, so the majority of pro players in those regions lived in those locations for zero ping. However, when the servers were relocated to Dallas, Texas, maintaining that advantage
What are
meant
these
that
photos?
players had to move there if they wanted to stay competitive and have a realistic shot at qualifying. But this was hard for players like Higgs. You have to realize in 2023, Higgs was only 15 years old, and it was a tough conversation to have with your parents and tell them you wanted to move out of the house at just 15 years old. And because he wasn't ready to do that,
16.
this made the start of the 2023 season really hard for Higgs. Not only was the ping hard, but Higgs now had to compete against everyone from NA East as well, so it was high ping and double the competition literally overnight. Because of this, his placements began to suffer. Him and his duo Bacon only placed 38th in Major 2. Fortunately for Higgs, however, things would get better.
I could do tokens later,
into Major
chat.
3. To start off the season, Higgs decided to team up with the up-and-coming pro player Rapid. After doing well in some cash cups and in the FNCS qualifiers, it was finally time for the grand finals. And on August 12th and 13th of 2023, Higgs and Rapid would compete in their first FNCS together, and it would not go to waste. Higgs alongside Rapid placed 8th, which secured their ticket into the FNCS Global Championship in Copenhagen, which would be held from October 13th through the 15th. Top players from across the world.
They were double high
invited
ping
to compete
too.
for a $4 million prize pool. And
Crazy.
if you follow competitive Fortnite at all, you'd know that the winners of this tournament were none other than Miro and Cooper.
Miro and Cooper from day one getting knocked out of the
They call it double high ping. Or actually, Rapid might have win 0. Wait, no, they win 0 on this, right?
Congratulations, Miro.
I think so.
Congratulations, Cooper. How amazing it must feel to be the global champion.
Higgs and Rapid, on the other hand, managed to finish in a respectable 14th place, earning $25,000 each. This was still
Not
a
too bad.
notable placement, considering it was the best of the best players competing. So during the FNCS 2024, Higgs decided to stick with Rapid. However, they only placed 24th in Major 1. Nevertheless, they were contested off spawn, so they wouldn't let this placement get to their head. FNCS Major 2 that year, he placed 8th on NA Central, winning $12,500. Then in Major 3, Higgs would have his best placement by far, getting 2nd place.
I would love to hear, just take a moment, Batman Booga and Rapid.
You hear how long they stuck together for, chat? Isn't that crazy to think about?
But this date,
I do.
They've thank you, Kelly.
They stuck together for
Day
like
number
almost
2,
2 whole
they
years.
Just they came online, you know, and they said, look, even if we can't win, we are gonna play for prize money. We're gonna play for the spots to globals. And man, you know, Kelly, they showed up in a big way.
Not only did this incredible performance
That helped.
from Higgs
Like, think
and
about
Rapid
it.
earn the
They got 24th one season, fully dudded. When, like, you know, and then they stuck, and then they got 2nd the next one. Like, think about that. Some motivation right there. Because like they were conned or whatever, getting griefed, and like they realize like their potential. A lot of teams don't like see that, you know, going into the next season, and they'll just drop them. And that goes for me too. That goes for me too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. It's happened to me as well, where teammates have dropped me because they don't see the potential.
$5,000 each. It also earned their spot into the 2024 Global Championship, which would be held in the Dickies Arena through September 7th and 8th. Higgs and Rapid would play a total of 12 games to take a piece of the $2 million prize pool. In the end, they would finish in 9th place, taking home $20,000 each. Following the global finals, however, Fortnite made an announcement that would change things big time for Higgs.
I can't even believe it. We just wrapped up 2024. Just an amazing year of Fortnite.
This wasn't that bad. I like this announcement. It wasn't that bad.
What's the plan for 2025?
Washington, you're pissing me off.
$8 million in prize pool. Dude, that's actually really awesome. The players are gonna be really excited to hear that. Wait, I'm sorry, step back. Did you say trios? We're going back to trios?
Now that trios returned, this meant that everyone was looking for a new team, including Higgs and Rapid. However, Rapid decided to go trio with Kanata and Bolt.
That was
while
fire.
On the other hand, Higgs would team up with Yamzo and the one and only Click.
Nah, what a
In
thumbnail.
Major 1 of 2025, Higgs and his trio would finish in 3rd place, earning $17,000. Although this was an incredible finish, all Higgs wanted to do was win an FNCS championship. So heading into Major 2, Higgs knew he he would have to give it his all. The Chapter 6 Season 2 True FNCS Grand Finals took place on April 26th and the 27th. I've actually made a video covering the entire Grand Finals with the game-by-game breakdown, so if you want to check that out, feel free. But to quickly recap, throughout the entire Grand Finals, it was a two-head horse race between Clix and Peterbot. Going into Game 12, the final game, all Clix needed was a great game and for Peterbot to go out early. And to say the very least, this was one of the most intense games of FNCS history.
Clix gets in with the baseball bat. We going in. We're swinging for the fence. It's a strike. Veer goes down. Yomzo up. Higgs still healthy. Yomzo goes.
Honestly, bro, if they didn't run into like Dash, like if they didn't run into a pretty solid team, like Seek and them, like if this team was just like a little bit more like worse, random, like getting shambles and Seaport, then this would have been a fully different outcome completely. And they could have killed like Peter's team too 100% if they had like whites off of a free team, like easily.
Down, it's just Higgs. It's all up to Higgs, the solo clutch. Come on, Higgs. Is it a 1v1 for Higgs? Come on, Higgs. Come on, Higgs.
But Higgs is going to hold on to that one, gets the revive finish.
Yomzo gets up. Yomzo finishes him. How does Yomzo win that? The res. What? Higgs, no. No. He pulls out the big pot. He doesn't know. Higgs gets beamed. Wait, Yomzo and Higgs are pushing. It's a 3v2.
You just had to be there. Chat, who was here? I was here.
They have the chug jugs. They're 500
This was the best grands in years. Maybe all time. This was just too good. And now we're playing a Star Wars season.
It's cold above. Is he getting tagged? Pin Rich on the 2v2 against Higgs and Yomzo. Higgs has the double mythic. Oh my.
Actually crazy.
What is happening? Yo, this has to be scripted. Cold dies the storm. Oh, wait. It's up to Ritual.
Imagine.
Ritual has nothing. Ritual goes down.
With Higgs' trio taking out Peterbot's trio in 20th place, this meant that all Higgs' trio needed to win the FNCS was 11 points. But unfortunately, this wouldn't happen as Higgs' trio would only get 19th place with 6 eliminations.
How much were they down? No, they go down. They go down. I don't think.
If they didn't have Storm Sickness, they make it in. If they didn't have Storm Sickness, they made it in. If they had a little bit more whites, they make it in. That's it. That's insane.
This meant that Peterbot's trio won the FNCS with Higgs falling in second. Regardless,
Second's not bad,
Higgs
though.
has been one of the most consistent Fortnite players within the past 2 years of competitive
They did have Sickness.
Fortnite. I, for one, hope to see Higgs and his trio take home the first place FNCS trophy.
Yamzo dropped Higgs the Chug because he got warning. It was about to activate on him. That's why he dropped Higgs the Chug instead of popping it himself. And Higgs also didn't have whites, but he was about to activate as well. So he couldn't even pop it regardless, even if he started popping it in time. Peter's team did not make them have sickness. They were playing zone the whole entire game. Unless Peter keyed them early game, which made them want to play zone and be scared or something. Maybe that's true. But I think they just played zone to be safe because that's kind of part of their game plan. And then because Peter fought them, then they like died to zone. But if they weren't tanking zone like that long like they had to, and they were like kind of shambles and fought that team in zone and stuff too before Peter, they would have been able to make it in right there with like the Chug Jug easily. I personally think they still would have got lobbied by the two teams. If you guys see right here, this team would have looked at them, or not even this team, they were fighting, whatever. But these teams on edge,
Fortunately, this wouldn't happen with 6
right
eliminations.
here.
How much were they down? No.
There was a team up here. There was a team right in front over here, and then a team on the
They
right.
go down. They go.
Like there's all these teams right here. I swear they would have like sprayed them. That's what I think. Like I think like maybe they make it in, but I guarantee you one of them doesn't make it in. There was only one Chug Jug. So let's say hypothetically one actually makes it in because they don't have Storm Sickness, both of them. That person has to pop Chug full build. He gets lobbied by at least one of the trios. Or they key him or just kill him on edge. It's a solo. But you never know though. You never know. I think personally though, that solo running in would have got lobbied by at least 2 teams and died. 100%.
Go down. I don't think that's enough.
I don't think they would have survived.
Won the FNCS.
There was no surviving that. Peter did the job they needed to do.
Been one of the most consistent Fortnite players within the
You know?
past 2 years of competitive
know.
Fortnite. I, for one, hope to see Higgs and his trio take home the first place
Never know, though.
FNCS trophy. But anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe and like the video if you haven't yet, as it means a lot. And feel free to watch this video if you haven't.
W video, bro. W out of the storm, man. And it's a good video, bro. Very well put together, bro. That's fire. And Higgs needs to watch this video too, bro. You should watch it. We can let him know if he needs any changes. Video, bro. It's fire.